Hello, how are you? Welcome to today's Facebook Live. This is day 4 of this 5-part series, and today I'm talking about gut health and just talking about why you need to cleanse and think about cleansing naturally every day, and why it's just about using whole foods, everyday things to support your liver, your gallbladder, your lymphatic system, and today your digestion. So on Monday I talked about the lymphatic system, and the one thing to do is castor oil packs. Then I talked about your liver, and the one thing to do was dandelion. And yesterday I talked about the gallbladder and just hydrating, keeping your electrolytes up and your hydration to ensure that your bile is nice and hydrated and it doesn't get all sludgy and sticky. So those have been what I've been going through this week, so you can go back to those if you've missed them. So today I'm talking about the digestion, and it's a really complex one because there's so many issues when it comes to your digestion. Your digestion, we've got your stomach, and obviously we've got your small intestine, and we've got your large intestine. And so many things can happen, and for different people it can be completely different. So some people might have parasite issues. We've got macroscopic and microscopic. And so if you had a macroscopic parasite, something like a tapeworm or a threadworm, things like diatomaceous earth can work really well for that because they're kind of like glass. They're like the tiny shreds of glass, but so small they can actually kill the parasite. But it doesn't work as well for other things. It just works well for macroscopic parasites. And then we have microscopic, like Giardia or blastocyst, that can cause a lot of inflammation, and they can cause issues with the immune system and actually lead to autoimmune type symptoms like Hashimoto's and conditions like that. So they can cause these chronic health issues. And then we've got Candida. Candida is a common one. You know, how you would work with Candida wouldn't necessarily be what you would do for parasites, so it would be something different. Candida is a fungi. It thrives in sugar environments. It feeds off sugar, and so it's really about supporting your diet. But another thing with Candida, and this is why it's important to know what's going on in your gut, Candida can actually feed estrogen, but estrogen can actually produce and feed the Candida. So you've got this vicious cycle of Candida and estrogen. I've actually done a video on it. It's really important because what we normally find is people with elevated estrogen, like endometriosis, also have Candida problems. You can have Candida throughout the body, so you can have with the gut. If you think about the gut in one long line, everything is connected. So your eyes, your nose, your ears, your mouth, your sinus, they are part down the trachea into your stomach, into your small intestine, into your large intestine, and then to your anus, and also to your vagina. It's kind of one long digestive tract. So anything that you're getting on the outskirts, you know, if you're getting really waxy blocked ears or itchy eyes or sinus problems or a white tongue, a white coating on the tongue, or smelly breath, or thrush, or an itchy anus, that's all kind of connected to the digestive system. So think back to that. There is that connection. So what is going on externally would also be going on internally. So if you've got thrush issues in the mouth, we probably have thrush issues in the stomach. I actually thought of something the other day about antibiotics, because I know it's common for people to get thrush on the tongue with antibiotics, and I have a theory that it's actually the body detoxifying kind of like the dead stuff that's coming out. So I've got a feeling that our tongue is a major source of detoxification. I'm going to have a look at some studies on this. But I've got this feeling that the tongue it's not that the Candida is growing on the tongue or it's giving us that that kind of like environment. It's actually that the tongue is this major source of detoxification. So we actually need to allow our tongue, this area, to just detoxify. And so oil pulling is good for that, tongue scraping is good for that, cleaning your tongue is very good for that, and kind of allowing things to come through. So that's what I'm going to be looking at actually next, and I'm going to be having a look at all of that. So signs that your digestive tract may not be working. We've got ridges on your nails. I actually see ridges on your nails with people that have got H. pylori, issues absorbing. Now it is another sign as well. So ridges on the nails can mean low iron, so don't everyone panic. But also I've seen it with Helicobacter. So Helicobacter is a bacteria in the small intestine that loves acidic environments. So this is why, remember yesterday I talked about the gallbladder. If you have anything like Helicobacter in the stomach or the small intestine, things that help you produce the bile from your gallbladder, which help to alkalize your small intestine, help to kill off acid-loving bacteria, and H. pylori is an acid-loving bacteria. So think of alkalization into the small intestine. Dandruff on the head, and also at the back of the scalp here, where you see kind of itchy, and some people get a little bit of psoriasis at the back of the scalp. So what I've noticed about that is it can be related to a parasite infection, normally something like blastocyst. So that's another body sign. Itchy ears can be candida, and issues in the gut as well. You might notice there's a correlation between things that you eat and getting itchy ears. Sinus problems is a biggie. Fogginess, obviously depression. You'll notice this. I remember when I had a ton of kefir. It was that really strong fizzy kefir. It was a coconut kefir, and I remember you were only meant to have about 5 mils, I think. And I remember kind of chugging through the whole bottle and getting really, really foggy. So it's interesting to see that fogginess is related to the gut. That kind of fogginess that comes on so quickly. Obviously, inflammation, gut ache, joint aches and pains, and insomnia as well can all be signs. And then in terms of the body signs, I've talked about the ridges. Also, a dry lips can be a sign there are things going on in the gut. And also like a rash, like a red kind of rash around the mouth can also be a sign that there's stuff going on in the gut. So your gut's main job, it's got so many different jobs, but we eat the food. It's meant to, the stomach's meant to kind of break it all down, break the macronutrients down, and it goes down into the small intestine. The small intestine helps to support and absorb sort of your fat soluble, your micro minerals, your fat soluble nutrients. And then the food goes down and it passes through into the large intestine, which is where a lot of the lactobacilli bacteria sit. It passes into the large intestine, and that's where a lot of your starch and your fibers are kind of digested, either absorbed or then you poop it out. And if you have any issue with diarrhea, it's normally that you haven't got any bacteria in the large intestine, and that's the lactobacilli. So you really need to eat up lactobacilli bacteria. When it comes to probiotics, I really recommend, if you just buy, you can just buy regular ones like Inner Health Plus from the pharmacy, just those regular ones. But you want to take about 2 or 3 at the same time, particularly if you're suffering from diarrhea, and then normally they get down to the large intestine. So that's what you need to do there. If you just take one, sometimes a lot of it gets killed off, particularly if you've got a really acidic tummy or an acidic small intestine as well. So that's really the crux of it. So what happens in the gut? We've got lots of bacteria. We've got good and bad bacteria. We've got Klebsiella. We've got strep. We've got staph. We've got lactobacilli. We've got bifidobacteria. Tons and tons of different bacteria, all different families, all doing different things. So it's about keeping that kind of regulated. And your gut regulates not only the digestion, but it also regulates serotonin. Lactobacilli also regulates GABA, which is a neurotransmitter which is calming. So if you suffer from lots of anxiety, or you have issues with insomnia or low GABA symptoms, taking more lactobacilli can help as well. So we've got the neurotransmitters and also hormones as well. So what tends to happen in the gut is you've actually got that synthesis to thyroid hormones. So if the gut's not working properly, you might have low thyroid symptoms. We also have testosterone is synthesized in the gut, and also estrogen. So if you're a guy and you've got issues in the gut and you've got really bad bacteria, you're more likely to have more estrogen synthesized as well. So there might be some estrogen dominant symptoms for you. So that can be going on in the gut, and that's how your hormones can be affected. That's a big way that your hormones can be affected. So a build-up in the gut of bad bacteria. You can have a build-up in the gut of candida, helicobacter, which is a common bacteria build-up. A little bit of everything is fine. We're meant to have a little bit of everything, a tiny bit of candida, a tiny bit of helicobacter, lactobacilli. So we're meant to have this kind of array of different bacteria because they've all got a function to play. They've all got a function and they're all meant to be there, but just in small amounts. And the problem occurs when they get into an amount that is more of a ratio than the other bacteria. So we take Helicobacter, for example. When Helicobacter starts to dominate the small intestine and creep into the stomach, you get symptoms of reflux, you get symptoms of heartburn, and heartburn can just be a little bit of pain to the right-hand side here. Smelly breath. You might also have a coating on the tongue. you also get symptoms of anxiety with Helicobacter as well, and Helicobacter can lead to gastritis as well. So it's about just controlling the environment and just making sure you've got that good array of bacterias. Foods that are fantastic. So with a keto diet, you do have, say, keto diet or caveman diet, you do have low starches in that diet, and we do have to think about food for our good bacteria. So you want to feed your good bacteria. So this is why some starches in foods can be good. Carrots are amazing. The pectin in apples are amazing. Seaweed is fantastic to feed the good bacteria. Bone broth also feeds the good bacteria. Slippery or elm. Okra is an amazing food that feeds the good bacteria. Legumes are fantastic. Legumes actually are really good at feeding the good bacteria, and you'll either know if it's working for you, you're pro or con legume. If you're eating the legumes and it's causing a really wonderful bowel motion, full bowel motion, and you feel good after legumes and there's no bloating, perfect for you. But some people get extreme bloating, extreme pain. They can't digest, and this just means that you've got a different bacteria. So you can either step away from having the legumes, or you can try and have a tiny amount. Make sure they're fully soaked, make sure they've been activated so the starches are broken down, they're more digestible. But not everyone should be eating them, and they don't suit everybody, so you just have to see what works for you. I can tolerate a small amount, and it will and it just helps with my digestion, and I'm fine with that, but some people it's not good for anyway. Coconut oil is also good. Coconut oil for the digestive system. And polyphenols. So polyphenols are really good food. So if you can't eat your starches, you might want to opt for polyphenols. So polyphenols are in berries. So we've got blueberries, raspberries, there's some in strawberries. We've also got coffee has polyphenols, and cacao as well, really nice raw cacao. So they also help to not only support the liver, as I was talking about the other day, detoxing the liver, but the polyphenols will actually serve as food for some of the good bacteria as well. And seeds, like with the mucilage on as well. Flax seeds and chia seeds are all good for the gut as well. So these are all things that helps us support the gut and support the gut health. So they're just general things that you can do. And I do go a little bit deeper into other things that you can do. So when working with candida, you need to do different things than if you are working with parasites. But in terms of the one thing that I would do for the gut, I think it's more what you shouldn't do. So when you think about your digestive health, definitely sugar is not fantastic for the gut, because that can act as a food for a lot of the bacteria that are kind of negative bacteria, and also it can suppress GABA, and it can cause anxiety. So if you eat sugars and you get rashes, you get hives, you get anxiety, or you get rosacea, then sugar could be a trigger for you, and that means that you've got low GABA in the gut, and you've probably got more glutamate in the body. So it's about them balancing out those two neurotransmitters. Another thing I wanted to talk about was zinc. So zinc supports digestion, and it's very common for people to be low in zinc. One of the biggest signs of low zinc is actually diarrhea, and I see this a lot. Not so much diarrhea, but loose bowel motions. So if you wake up every morning and you have those loose bowel motions, that can be a huge sign of low zinc. So you either want to look at supplementing with zinc, or you want to look at maybe oysters or something like that. And remember, when doing zinc, you want to, if you do think that you're low in zinc, you might have the white marks on the nails, if you've got any skin conditions, the diarrhea, the loose bowel motions, you want to take a liquid form of zinc or a powder form of zinc. That just supports its absorption. And also a sign of zinc deficiency is having low iron and low ferritin as well. So if you've commonly got low iron and low ferritin, you might want to look at zinc levels as well. The zinc levels will help bring the iron up. Okay, so in terms of the things that I would do for the gut, the one thing I would do is definitely not have sugar. 100% I would not have sugar. And if there was one thing I could do, if there was just one thing, aside from, say, antimicrobials, aside from good bacteria, I think the one thing I would do, would be activated charcoal. So activated charcoal supports that large intestine, and it helps your body, we talked about the gallbladder and we talked about the liver detoxifying the other day, and the bile is sending so much shit into the bowel, so much crap into the bowel. You want to help the bile get it out so it's not reabsorbing. And the activated charcoal will do that. Now, you don't want to take the activated charcoal every day forever. You want to do it in when you know you've had some bad food, or you want to do it in, you know, a month on, month off kind of thing, and definitely away from medication, so that it's not inhibiting the absorption. But it's fantastic. If you think of activated charcoal, they use it in hospitals when people have got food poisoning. I think it is one of the best resources we can have to remove toxins from our gut and to support our gut. So that is the one thing I can do. Also, to caveat that, if you think you've got anything going on with, say, parasites, you could take diatomaceous earth. If you do think you've got any parasite or any bacteria, don't take the same antimicrobial every single day, because these bacteria, they're intelligent, they're freaking clever, and they will mutate. So think of antibiotic resistance. We've got a real problem here with antibiotic resistance, and the problem being is because we've taken the same antibiotics and people overtake antibiotics. So if you were to say get oregano oil, and you heard that it's wonderful at killing off bacteria, and you just took it every day and you kept taking it every single day, the bacteria in your gut is slowly going to get intelligent, and it's going to mount a defense against the oregano oil. The same goes with your diet. If you're on a ketogenic diet and you just eat fat and you've got no starch, those sugar and those starch-loving bacteria are again going to mutate so they can use the fat for food. So that's just another thing to remember. This is why rotating things is very important, cycling things is very important, and just adding things to your diet and being on and off with the diet as well. So not being so diligent every single day with the same diet. I think that's really important. So cycling things is really, really important. And then thirdly, when you're working your digestion, you want to work on the digestion and the digestive enzymes. So just making sure you're having your bitter foods, your dandelion tea, your lemon, your apple cider vinegar, having things with live enzymes in. So live enzymes are in raw foods. So whether that's a serve of salad a day, whether it's a little bit of enzyme-rich fruit. So kiwi fruit, pawpaw and pineapple are amazing. And kiwi fruit actually has been shown to counteract the effects and the damage of gluten. So it's just got these enzymes in that are so healthy for your gut. So those are the main things I would do. And then lastly, I normally pick one thing. Lastly, bone broth. Bone broth on an empty stomach is fantastic to heal the gut. And if you're vegan, you want to do a bone broth with maybe some kombu in and some seaweed. And also you could do collagen protein to heal your gut. Or you could do, my mind's gone blank, so I can't remember what I was going to say, something else. Glutamine is also very good in an empty stomach if you know you've got any leaky gut or any gut problems. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.